Mayor Summey, members of the North Charleston City Council, distinguished veterans, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for having me as your speaker for today's Veterans Day Remembrance. I am truly honored. Mayor Summey, you, your council members, and the citizens of this great city can rightly be proud of the recognition given the city by the National Veterans Day Committee. You have a long and illustrious history of serving veterans and their families, being the first city to transport World War II veterans to their memorial in Washington, D.C., taking veterans to the World War II Memorial in New Orleans, the mighty 8th Air Force Museum in Savannah, and your support for the Wounded Warrior Program is extremely commendable. Thank you for all you're doing to support our veterans. A special thanks to all of you that are gathered here today for this ceremony to honor our veterans. Your presence is a far greater tribute to them than any words of praise from me. Thank you for sharing with us this special time to honor our heroes. Today, in communities large and small all over our great country, people will gather to honor the service and sacrifice of veterans, some who gave their all, so that we may enjoy the beauty, the peace, the tranquility of this glorious day in North Charleston. It is fitting and proper that we gather to observe Veterans Day and honor our nation's warriors who have served in faraway places with strange-sounding names. Our community is replete with references to our nation's proud military heritage and sacrifice. Riverfront Park at the old Navy base here in North Charleston is the home of the Greater Charleston Naval Base Memorial, honoring those that served there for 95 years of its existence. The gallant ship Yorktown at Patriots Point reminds us not only of that decisive victory at Yorktown, Virginia in October of 1781 that ensured our liberty and the birth of our great country. It also reminds us of the sacrifice of its namesake, USS Yorktown CV-5, lost at the Battle of Midway in June 1942. The battle at Midway, one of World War II's most decisive battles, turned the tide in the Pacific in our favor. The Yorktown saw service in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and is a living memorial to all those who served and sacrificed, not only in those wars, but in all our wars. The C-47 transport plane on display at Joint Base Charleston is a stark reminder of that historic moment when thousands of parachutists jumped into the dark night at Normandy on the night of June 5th, 1944, to begin the liberation of Europe. Charlestonian Billy Leonard was among those fearless individuals. The Submarine Memorial, also at Patriots Point, is a poignant reminder of the many boats and crews that are still on patrol. The Vietnam base camp at Patriots Point brings back memories of my youth in a war that was little appreciated or understood by many in our nation. Yet, a generation of warriors fought with gallantry and died with dignity in the name of freedom. Some of us today remember and honor a parent, a son, a daughter, a close family member, or perhaps a friend who served and defended our freedoms. The many veterans here today, no doubt, remember their comrades who, on the field of battle, became their brothers, sisters, and their most trusted friends. But all of us are here to honor and recognize those veterans in their service that allows us to live in freedom and not oppression. I stand before you not as a war hero. There are no doubt veterans here today, and certainly in this community, whose exploits of courage and valor far exceed my own. Craig Bennett Sr., as a young B-17 crewman shot down over Europe and was a POW, and Chris Kelkin, a corpsman at the bloody Battle of Iwo Jima, are two outstanding examples and members of the greatest generation that comes to mind. I speak to you simply as a proud citizen of our great nation and a veteran who served with honor. As we reflect over our lifetime, I know that each of you realize how truly blessed we are to live in this great nation. But we need to know that our presence as citizens of this wonderful land is not a gift from God or just our luck to be born here. We have the privilege of living in this great nation because those who preceded us had the willingness to fight, shed their blood, and yes, even die, so that we may live free in a country with liberty and justice for all. Please never take the freedoms we enjoy for granted. The cost of freedom has been paid in full by the courage and sacrifice of past generations of veterans, of those who serve today, and it's up to us to keep their legacy always in our memory and pass it on to those whose time to serve is yet to come. Throughout our history, millions of young men and now young women have stepped forth to serve our great nation in time of war and conflict to ensure that our freedoms are defended and maintained. In the past 238 years of our history as a nation, from the Revolutionary War to Afghanistan, we have had 11 major wars or conflicts and hundreds of smaller conflicts that have been lost in history, but nevertheless, men and women have served and died defending our freedoms. Over these years, almost 50 million of our citizens have served in time of war or conflict. Over 1 million have died gaining and preserving our way of life. Approximately 22 million are living today. On 1,000 battlefields scattered all over the world, mostly young men and now young women have been caught up in the whirlwind of combat. From the first shot that shatters the stillness of the day, to the cataclysmic roar of death and destruction that signals the height of the battle, to the final shot that ends the engagement, they go through a range of emotions that most people need a lifetime to experience. Chilling fear, deep sadness, debilitating anxiety, depressing disappointment, and exultant joy and relief. In battle, time stops. Your world becomes the few feet around you, and the most important thing in your life is your fellow warriors with you and your weapon. No one except those present will know the intensity, the fear, the love, and courage shared by warriors. For at that moment, when their world seems to be collapsing around them, they become a brotherhood born of many fathers, brought together to do battle and inculcated with the history, traditions, and legacy of the warriors that have gone before them. They dig deep within themselves and find the strength and courage to persevere. They are no longer individuals, but a team driven to succeed. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my view of what many of our veterans have gone through and are going through today. Why, you ask, would one want to subject him or herself to life-defining rigors of military service and possibly combat? The answer, I believe, is best stated by the late Colonel of Marines, John Ripley, a Navy Cross recipient from Vietnam and a former director of the Marine Corps History Division. Even though he speaks of Marines, the statement, in my opinion, is also applicable to all servicemen and women. I quote, "Every Marine understands that in war he will be asked and expected to do the impossible. He will do his duty while ignoring physical hardship, personal danger, sacrifice, and the uncertainty of his award. He will do this simply because it is expected of a Marine. His Corps and country expect nothing less. He will always honor the reputation established by the great Marines who preceded him." The words of Colonel Ripley hold true today for the men and women of our armed forces who go in harm's way in Afghanistan and throughout the world as we join together to commemorate this Veterans Day. This Veterans Day gives us the opportunity to give thanks and remember our heroes, ordinary men and women who did extraordinary things, warriors who went through some of the most difficult and challenging times in our history. Thinking of them and their heroic deeds and sacrifice renews our spirit, feeds our soul, makes us stand tall and proud, and validates their sacrifice, and especially the ultimate sacrifice of those who fell in battle. When veterans gather at reunions, they spend their time renewing the love and respect they have for each other, telling and retelling reminiscences of their time together, sharing their guilt of coming home or how they should or should not have done certain actions. But always their discussions end by talking of and sharing memories of their fellow warriors, especially those who died in battle. So today, ladies and gentlemen, let us remember the legion upon legion of veterans who throughout our history have served, and especially those who have died for me, for you, for our country, and are still dying today. I am reminded of a poem from World War I by Lawrence Benyon, which paid tribute to the fallen of that war. I think the words apply to us today as we pause for a moment, think back, remember, and give thanks for all those who served and all those that fell defending our freedoms, and whose service and memory we honor today. They shall not grow old as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.